The 20th century was really defined by this one massive division, a line drawn right across a continent that literally split the world in two. So today, we're going to dive into the incredible story of how that line got erased, how the Iron Curtain finally fell.
That's such a simple sentence, right? The Cold War was ending. But the weight behind those words, it is just massive. For more than 40 years, the whole world was basically locked in this super tense standoff. So this sentence, it's not really the start of our story. It's the incredible destination we're heading towards.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How did it actually end? How does a 40-year global stalemate just stop? Well, it wasn't one single thing. It was more like a cascade of events. And to really get that cascade, we have to start with the single most powerful symbol of the entire era.
Okay, so let's talk about the Iron Curtain. I mean, the term itself just brings up this image of a totally impenetrable barrier, right? And for millions and millions of people, that's exactly what it was.
And here's what's so crucial to understand. This was never just about concrete walls and barbed wire. It was an ideological boundary. It separated two completely different ways of life, two political systems, two entirely different worlds, with a line drawn straight through the heart of Europe.
So how in the world do you even begin to dismantle something that massive, something that's both a physical thing and a huge idea? Well, sometimes it doesn't start with a battle. It starts with a challenge, spoken loud and clear for the entire world to hear.
This was the moment. It's 1987. Ronald Reagan is standing at the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, and he issues this direct, powerful demand. This was so much more than just a speech. It was like a gauntlet being thrown down, a direct challenge to the very idea of that division.
Now, a challenge like that on the world stage, it doesn't just hang in the air, it echoes. And just 2 years later, that challenge was met, not by some political decree, but by the will of ordinary people.
You can pretty much draw a straight line from that challenge in '87 to the unbelievable events of 1989. But what happened in those 2 years was so important. While that challenge was echoing on the outside, there was this immense pressure building up from the inside of the Soviet bloc. You had decades of economic problems and a new Soviet leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, who was introducing these new reforms like glasnost, which means openness, and all of that was creating these huge cracks in the foundation.
1989. This is the year. If you remember 1 year from all of this, this is the one. It's the turning point. On November 9th, the gates of the Berlin Wall were just opened, and this absolute flood of humanity poured through, reuniting a city that had been torn in two for decades.
But here's the thing. The fall of a wall in just one city? That wasn't just a local news story. No way. It was like the first domino in a chain reaction that was about to redraw the entire map of Europe.
And what happened next was breathtakingly fast. The fall of the wall was the spark, the signal that the old way of doing things was crumbling. And that led directly to the collapse of communist governments all across Eastern Europe, as people suddenly realized what was possible. And crucially, the Soviet Union decided not to step in. And with that, the very foundation of the Cold War just disintegrated.
So, okay, let's zoom out and bring this all together. What's the ultimate takeaway from this absolutely monumental shift in world history?
It really boils down to these three simple but incredibly powerful phrases. The physical symbol, the wall, it had to fall first, and that triggered the collapse of the whole political system it represented. And just like that, an entire era of global confrontation came to an end. And this is the echo of history that really stays with us, right? The Iron Curtain is gone, but the idea of walls dividing people, well, that persists. It's a powerful lesson, and it leaves us with a question for our own time. What are the barriers, the divisions, both the ones we can see and the ones we can't, that we're still confronting today? Thanks for exploring that with us.